think I can do it right. Yep, I got it. You don't have to, don't worry about recording. I've got it
Yeah,
recorded.
I heard that. Thank you.
Yeah. So we've got that set. So this meeting is recorded because we share it out to a much broader list of about 1,300 people and something like 110 different countries. And it will also be posted to our YouTube channel. I am going to share some things via the Zoom chat, just some introductory information about Citizen Diplomacy International for those of you who may be new or unfamiliar or want to get a refresher on what we're about. But otherwise, I encourage you during the presentations to write down your questions and comments so that we can come back to them when we have the discussion. Each of the speakers, as usual, will have 15 minutes, and I will time that, and then we will proceed to discussion. And then we'll finish off with announcements, including the latest CDI bulletin, which Brian Smith, my co-editor for the bulletin, will be presenting. Okay, without further ado, I think Marta, you're going to be presenting first. I should note, Marta is joining us from a war-torn country. She's joining us from Ukraine, so all the more appreciative for her participation in this session.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. Now, actually, I'm in Barcelona because instead of being associate professor at the Taras Shevchenko National University of Kiev, I'm also a visiting professor now here at the University of Barcelona. But of course, I'm connected very deeply with my country and with my students because we have online process, online education every day. And now it's very hot season, before the end of the semester. So what else of course I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to get to know about the organization and everything. I've read everything on your website, and I've told my students about the activities. And I think we can join you in different ways. So my department in Kiev and Taras Shevchenko National University is International Organization and Diplomacy Service. So we are very close to the activities that you do. Okay, I will try to open, but a host disabled participant screen sharing. If you can, please help me. I think
Sure,
we can.
Debbie.
I can make them both co-hosts, no problem.
Okay, great. And Debbie, let us know when you've made them co-host. Okay, looks like
okay. I can start because we have lost some minutes. So today we are going to speak about extremely popular topic, artificial intelligence and diplomacy. In particular, citizen diplomacy, about some challenges and perspectives of artificial intelligence in the field of diplomacy. First, just to underline, and it will be my first slide, but it's just with a QR code. It's just maybe for your students or for students who will watch us on YouTube, just to make sure and to play a little game about for defining some definitions about diplomacy and connecting it with information and communication technologies. There are a lot of different definitions like virtual diplomacy, cyber diplomacy, public diplomacy, and in this field, citizen diplomacy. I just should underline when we are talking about citizen diplomacy, personally, I mean the complex of, because it's really not this topic when we're talking with our students about citizen diplomacy, it's not traditional diplomacy, so there is no scientific books about it. So I mean, in this definition, some the complex of diplomatic initiatives that possibly transcend the unilateral state-centric approach that operates more independently from institutional diplomacy to gain not only state interests, but also global goals such as peace building or sustainable goals. So on this slide, but I can see it. On the slide, you could scan the QR code after our meeting, and through this simple game, remind the definitions and find out the connection between diplomacy and information and communication technologies.
Marta, just a quick, you should be able to share your slides now. And if for some reason you can't, I can do so. But just check to see if you can share.
Okay, yes, I see. I will try.
There you go. Perfect.
Yes. Okay.
I also, Fatima should also have permission as well as Brian Smith.
Right.
Give me a moment, please. Just
You can press that, Marta, that little button at the bottom of your screen in the red bar that looks like a presentation. So it's at the bottom of your screen. That's the kind of PowerPoint presentation thing that you can, it's the red bar within your PowerPoint. I don't know if you can see that.
Okay. Just now we are. I really forgot how it's to work with Zoom because we have our platform. We are working now after COVID and now during the war in Microsoft Teams. So just a moment.
Why don't, if you'd like, I can share my screen and show your slides if you have.
Is it?
It's showing. We see them. It's just that you're not in kind of the slide presentation mode, which is that button at the bottom right of your screen. If you want, do you want me to show your slides?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah.
It could take more time.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just share. Hold on a second, guys. Okay. So, just so you know, it's that little button right here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You can channel. Yes, this is QR code for your students. Anyway, after our presentations, then they can play and just have some list of definition. And the second slide, please. So to understand the challenges and prospects of artificial intelligence in the field of diplomacy properly, we can use the following taxonomy, which is really widespread: diplomacy for artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence for diplomacy. And on these points of view, we can find the place for citizen diplomacy. Diplomacy for artificial intelligence approach, you can get go straight away, is focused primarily on promoting cooperation in the field of digital technologies, cyberspace, machine learning, artificial intelligence, blockchain, to achieve global goals such as democracy, peace building, human rights, environmental protection, and etc. And the next one, Okay, artificial intelligence has become one of defining element of geopolitical power and an instrument of traditional and public diplomacy, influencing the global balance of power. What should be underlined that artificial intelligence is not an impersonal instrument. Behind it always stands somebody's values and resources. For example, Elon Musk with his Starlinks, as everybody is aware, this technology is used for Ukrainian soldiers, help Ukrainian soldiers during the war. But there were several cases when the Starlinks did not work preciously during the Ukrainian counteroffensive. And Musk commented on that with the statement that he don't want that his technologies were used for offensive action, only for defensive purposes. Hence, he has the right, and we should be aware of it. He has his values, so I don't know, and he has this resource, and we just use it. We just should be aware of his values. There is a huge number of recommendations, reports, and even acts that try to make first steps to regulate this field. I will stop on some of them, but I think that Professor Fatima will can have much more knowledge about it, as I saw in her biography. First, you can see on the slide some of the reports and strategies. I just like to say that in the strategy of winning the era of artificial intelligence, for example, which was conducted by National Security Commission on AI, the word diplomacy was mentioned 44 times, emphasizing its important role in addressing global issues related to artificial intelligence. Recommendations include engaging partner countries in synchronizing policies, in initiatives in the field of artificial intelligence and digital technologies. Also, this report, as well as others, outline the strategy of the initiatives and ways to promote it through public diplomacy. And I would add through citizen diplomacy. No, please, yeah, the Act, the European Union Artificial Intelligence Act, that is actually first regulation on artificial intelligence, which was approved by the European Parliament on June 14, and will now proceed to a final round of negotiation before being finalized as soon as January 2024. In this regard, you can see that this, while we are speaking about citizen diplomacy as well in this topic, in this recommendations and even legal acts, because on the one hand we have OpenAI that argued to European officials that the forthcoming Artificial Intelligence Act should not consider its general purpose AI systems as ChatGPT, for example, to be a high risk. So OpenAI lobbied Europeans. In this case, also, we have 10 companies that so first 10 companies that lobbied European parliaments. And through this organization, we have 4 non-government organizations. It's the European Consumer Organization, it's European Digital Rights Organization, Algorithm Watch also. They are all included to the top 10 organization, non-government organization that lobbied this act. So they represent citizens, and we can speak about citizen diplomacy in this charge. And in this way, we understand that citizens, we can influence through non-government organization to these regulations acts. So what are the next slide? So what are the challenges in the global level of artificial intelligence spread? Of course, it's an issue of potential threats to fundamental rights and democracy. The results that artificial intelligence produces depends on how it is designed and what data it uses. Both design and data can be intentionally or unintentionally biased. For example, some important aspects of the problem may not be programmed into the algorithm or may be programmed to reflect and replace structural organization. In this way, my previous example about lobbying Artificial Intelligence Act is actually working page. Challenges are in the issues of the security on the metaverse level, which primarily translate into the geopolitical realm. For example, we all know that Barbados became the first country that opened an embassy in the metaverse. There is an importance of deeper involvement of diplomats, and by saying it, I also mean not only traditional diplomats, but also the citizen diplomats in cybersecurity issues, particularly in the realm of cybersecurity, which could contribute to interstate cooperation, transparency, and predictability in order to reduce the risks of misperceptions.
Marta, just a quick note, you've got about 2 minutes.
Okay, then let's go to the artificial intelligence for diplomacy, and I'd like to show my own, just please, next slide.
Okay.
And next one. I will ask you to switch on the voice. Could you?
Switch on the voice?
Yes.
That's a good question. I think
Yes,
so.
you can.
مساء الخير. اسمي أوليين. أنا مساعدة للأستاذ المشارك مرة كونوفالوفا في قسم التنظيم الدولي والخدمة الدبلوماسية. تم إنشاء اسمي وهذا الفيديو بواسطة الذكاء الاصطناعي. تحية من جامعة تاراس شيفتشينكو الوطنية في كييف، أكبر وأقدم جامعة في أوكرانيا. إنه لشرف لي أن أكون هنا معك. سأحاول اليوم أن أتحدث عن فرص وتحديات تطوير الذكاء الاصطناعي في الدبلوماسية.
Thank you. So this is my assistant, as I could call myself the citizen diplomat, as a professor from the Ukrainian university. This is my, I don't know if anybody understands Arabian instead of Professor Fatima, but this is a simple model, breaks all the language and cultural limitations. One could create a citizen diplomat who could speak and understand different language, who on the basis of machine learning could find relevant topics and communicate, develop the group of interest, produce messages, and react on the feedback, attracting the audience attention all the time in information. This is one point speaking about artificial intelligence for diplomacy, for citizen diplomacy. Another one is lobbying and advocacy, which I have mentioned about, so I will not stop here. I just like to say that we as citizen diplomats could not only lobby and advocate some recommendation to do artificial intelligence more friendly and more ethical, but also we as a lobbyist, as a citizen diplomats, as advocates can use different artificial intelligence programs which will help us to which will give us different data analytical tools which give us help us identify and anticipate emerging issues, stay ahead of regulatory change, and design advocacy campaigns that are tailored to specific audience. So there are a lot of such application and such artificial intelligence programs that we can use. For example, it's not advertisement, it's just from the Google, the SoftEdge.com, the Quorum US, KnowWho.com, Master.com, and etc. There are a lot of them which we can use to make our best to lobby and advocate some global issues. And the last one, what I would say, it's about challenges and about opportunities. As you can see, a little picture about echo chambers. I remind that echo chambers is an environment where a person only encounters information or opinions that reflect and reinforce their own. So social media has made diplomats very lazy and to some extent created an illusion that it's allowed diplomats to reach the entire public through tweets or Facebook posts. Yes, it is, but we have echo chambers, and to reach different audience, we should have diplomatic skills. And by this whole presentation, I want to say that yes, we have a lot of challenges, but we have a lot of opportunities. And being a diplomat, having diplomatic skills, having a contacts list, being an expert in some or another topic, we can reach that audience that could be in echo chambers anyway. So we, with the artificial intelligence, we just could add to our possibilities, to our authorities, and to be better than we are. Thank you. Sorry for taking more time.
That's okay. Thanks, Marta. So we are going to switch to our other presenter, Fatima, who's joining us from Morocco. I'm hoping, Fatima, you can control your own slides. But before you do, if I may take a photo of everybody, as customary with these meetings, I try to take a photo of everybody, and we share that out to our broader audience. So if you could turn on, excuse me, your cameras, and let me take a screenshot. So Elena, Shichi, and others, Kevin, Rui, Tella, Maritza, etc., and so forth. If you guys can turn on your cameras, that would greatly appreciate it. Joshua as well. I'm on 3. 1, 2, 3. If you could smile. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Fantastic. Let me take one more photo, and then we will switch to Fatima. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Fantastic, guys. Thank you. Okay, Fatima, you are next.
Thank you, Professor Paul, for the invitation, and it's a great pleasure to be with you in this webinar. I'm trying to share my presentation. I hope you can see it now. Yes. Thank you. So the title of my presentation is Citizen Diplomacy in the Era of Artificial Intelligence, Challenges and Opportunities. And we'll start by 3 key questions. The first question is interactions between AI and diplomacy. The second question is AI diplomacy as an advanced step of digital diplomacy, and I will explain that later. So AI diplomacy, current and future challenges. The last question, which recommendation we need to face all the challenges, to take more advantage from all the opportunities offered by AI and how we can face all the challenges. The starting point is the importance of AI diplomacy. As you know, artificial intelligence offers new opportunities to this field's diplomacy, considering all different types of diplomacy, starting by official diplomacy, traditional diplomacy, to all other new types, let's say, of diplomacy, culture diplomacy, economic diplomacy, scientific diplomacy, citizen diplomacy, public diplomacy. So we have new types which are in fact the result of this massive use of artificial intelligence, included in what? In social media. So how people, how different social categories are interacting with a global, with this global debates, and how they are contributing to diplomacy as a tool of political, of foreign policy. AI facilitates the definition of common issues and of common interests. It facilitates also the inclusion of all actors inside our societies, but also in international society. I mean by all actors, not only states or international intergovernmental institutions, but also transnational companies, NGOs, individuals, etc. So, and it facilitates the definition of common goals, especially when it comes to universal problems. AI creates or revolutionizes diplomatic missions. We need now to rethink diplomatic mission, considering official diplomacy or other new types of diplomacy, for example, citizen diplomacy. AI brings also new topic to the negotiation and policy making table, such, for example, now lethal autonomous weapons and what rules diplomats could create, for example, inside the United Nations or the Security Council in United Nations to face all the challenges all imposed by AI, or how AI are now transforming international security. Artificial intelligence also reinforces this other new types of diplomacy, such citizen diplomacy. Of course, now we are observing this reinforcement of the appearance of first of citizen diplomacy in United States, of course, but also in other countries. We are observing this massive participation and this massive interest given by citizens to all diplomatic issues, and that's because of the use of the massive use of AI, especially by youths. This leads us to these interactions between AI and diplomacy, how AI is creating huge changes in diplomacy, starting by AI as a new powerful tool that can be invested by diplomacy, and also the importance of diplomacy in the creation of new opportunities, and in, how diplomacy can enhance innovation and creativity in artificial intelligence. Through what? Through reviewing or looking about new agreements, bilateral or multilateral agreements in artificial intelligence, in science, and in innovation. Considering what? Considering that now in the era of AI, diplomacy should have as a mission, as the first mission, not only how to defend sovereignty of states, but also technological sovereignty of states. This interaction, these interactions between AI and diplomacy could be observed in different levels. First of all, considering AI as a diplomatic topic discussed by diplomats, all the challenges, all the opportunities. which rules, which institutions, and how they can, which new agreements to face all the challenges imposed by AI, and also AI as a diplomatic tool to achieve diplomatic mission and to achieve national interests of concerning every state. The last level is artificial intelligence as a factor that characterizes the diplomatic world, but also could be in the near future an actor, considering all the evolution related to artificial generative intelligence, and how ChatGPT is used, and considering that some states now, for example, Japanese AI principles are considering implicitly, yes, AI as actor. What about digital diplomacy here, or let's say AI diplomacy as an advanced step of digital diplomacy? Who is the winner? We have top 5 countries. United States is the winner with 8.61 points. Then we have Russia, India, Indonesia, and France. The most important, according to this index published by Digital Diplomacy Index in 2023, the most important is that China, even if it's the first global investor in artificial intelligence, and I mean here specifically public investment, considering that transnational companies, Chinese transnational companies, are public companies. And even if China is the winner in the 5G, and even if China also is in the second place after United States in innovation, but all this, if we consider all this statistics, we consider the digital diplomacy index, we find that China is in the 11th step, and this leads us also to the level of democracy inside China, to the priority given to China, to artificial intelligence by Chinese governments, using AI especially for economic interests more than for diplomacy, and considering also another important topic, which is trustworthiness and transparency, which is necessary when we use artificial intelligence, especially for diplomacy. Now, what about current and future challenges related to AI diplomacy as an advanced step of digital diplomacy as a result of this massive use of AI in diplomatic fields? The first challenge is trustworthy information. How we can trust, how diplomats can trust, how citizens who want to contribute to this diplomatic efforts of them countries, how they can trust information given by artificial intelligence, considering what? Considering that AI in all this long learning process between AI as artificial intelligence and human intelligence, considering that AI are learning from human description of human experiences. And they are learning directly from human experiences. So how we can trust such information and make decisions based on this information created by AI or disseminated by AI? How can diplomats make decisions based on data when it's not reliable? And how can all actors have access to the right data? And maybe can diplomats be replaced by the robots? considering also the appearance of what we are calling now symbiotic artificial systems, and considering this automated decision. Maybe in the future, diplomats will be replaced by the robot, and we know that the robots now are replacing several human in several jobs, starting by professors, doctors, etc., and all kinds of jobs. So, and we know that diplomats are assisted now by the robots. So maybe the future will be diplomats will be replaced by the robots. So, and this also another challenges, related to the trends, AI, artificial intelligence trends. Yes, we have several challenges now related to malicious use of artificial intelligence. Fake news, fake videos, fake speeches, all this. Yes, of course, we have other systems, AI systems, which allow individuals and politicians and diplomats to know if the video is fake or is right, or etc. But also we have this malicious use could create some tensions between states before experts confirm if the video is right or fake. We have cybersecurity, which is now at the same level. The global markets of cybercrime is considered as the third economic country after United States and China. So, which means a huge investment in cybercrime, and we are all facing cybercrime challenges as individuals, as citizens, as actors in different fields. Considering also here when we speak about cybersecurity or cybercrime and citizen diplomacy, we should also consider that individuals and citizens now are influencing diplomatic issues. Why? Because of this multi-adherence to multi-institutions inside countries, but also considering this supranational relations, which means adherence, individual adherence to institutions outside the country. Another challenge, which is laws, lethal autonomous weapons, which is also one of the big topics discussed now by diplomats, official diplomats, in United States, for example. We have these challenges related to symbiotic artificial systems and this automated decision, considering what? Considering interactions between human brain, human memory, and machines memory and artificial memory. So, and how the symbiotic artificial system can influence diplomats and all actors who contribute to diplomacy, could guide them to one decision and not to another decision. As a conclusion, how we can face all these challenges? So the starting point is AI national strategy. And that's why we can observe now in the international society this race to AI national strategy and another race to AI regulations or AGI regulations. We need for that, and considering this massive contribution of citizens in diplomatic to diplomatic field, we need to rethink institutions inside country and outside country. For what? To allow citizens to contribute and to make them able to contribute to diplomatic efforts. rethinking diplomatic missions and rules, considering that now the goal and all this race to AI and global AI investments between, for example, China, United States, Russia, etc., is for one goal, which is technological sovereignty. Other president, for example, Chinese president, call it cyber sovereignty. And other presidents in Europe, for example, the President Macron, call it digital or la souveraineté numérique, etc. So this is the goal. And now, and this technological sovereignty, in fact, is conditioning also sovereignty as it was defined by international law, which means simply independence. Another recommendation is that we need, and it's urgent, to have an international banned instrument on ethics of artificial intelligence. Yes, we have this first international instrument adopted by UNESCO. I mean, the recommendation on ethics of artificial intelligence adopted by UNESCO in 2021, but still it's only a recommendation. It's not a banned document. It could guide state efforts inside every country, but still it's not a banned document, instruments, and we need to have such instruments, or to rethink United Nations Charter. My last word is about our book, titled Artificial Intelligence and Digital Diplomacy, published in 2021 by Springer. You can find it in this link. And here's several references I used for this presentation, but you can find more information in the book. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Fatima. Again, all of these presentations, the recording of this, this meeting will be shared to everybody via the email list. If you don't know or are not sure if you're on the email list, feel free to include your email, just add your email address to the Zoom chat, or just send it to me privately, and we'll add you to the list. So let's open up discussion. We've got about, I would say, about 25 minutes for discussion. And again, I apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning, which kind of shrunk the amount of time we have for discussion. There are a number of questions in the Zoom chat, which I appreciate all of those of you who've contributed questions. But anybody want to chime in with your questions first? Or your comments and your thoughts on the presentations?
Can I, Paul?
Yes, go ahead, Aman.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to join you, Paul, in these citizen diplomacy meetings. Now, AI, I've seen the presentations and they are all very well thought through. In terms of the context that I'm setting, I'm from India. My name is Aman Bandhvi. I'm from India. We're in the election year now, and the political discourse over here is largely these days confined to what else AI has brought to the discourse, and that is largely connected to deepfakes. We have had instances that started with celebrities, and now it has evolved to political personalities who have been shown in different positions, either dancing or whatever, or speaking in certain languages, speaking a certain particular specific sentence that they ought not to, and they've not done it. It's all AI generated. That's the thing that has been now exposed. It has touched upon the political discourse to an extent that it has the capability to influence an electoral decision of a voter to vote either this way or that way. Now, this is in the national context. In the larger diplomatic context, every time there's an election here, Pakistan, our neighbor, and with a country we share a lot of cultural legacy and history, is always always taken to be a party which is doing a lot of messaging on social media, and now AI is a weaponized tool in their hands to also impact the discourse. There has been many which have been, let's put it this way, these have been explosive. The knee-jerk reactions from the regulators are that let's prevent this from happening. Let's put the onus back on the social media platforms. They should not be doing it in the first place. They are the ones, once it's flagged, just take it down, which is a long drawn process. Because India lies in the hinterlands, and that is where the regulatory effect reaches quite delayed. So they've taken a decision, they've got swayed by some messaging, and they'll go along. In the larger context of citizen diplomacy, we know that once AI is taken up as a tool, to nudging it to act in a certain manner, I think we are all focusing on the generative AI part of the larger AI ecosystem. We need to ensure that we work it to the best of ability. For example, let's have messaging which is conducive to a genial environment or a cordial environment, that people can then it can build confidence. It can be a confidence building measure. That's part one. But what's innovation for us is also innovation for the others who do not share the same mindset, or who may not be inclined to do everything positively. So where does that set the diplomats going on? Someone said the diplomats may not be needed in the future. I don't think so, because AI will only be an enabler, and the way it has evolved, we've already seen to the extent that it has gone to. We had a speaker from Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, Ukraine, Russia. This is primarily a social media construct in some parts in India where the larger messaging is all AI driven. I believe, Martha, you'll agree with me. Most of the messaging which is coming on is not human generated, but AI generated. There's a cottage industry going on around it. The only work is to generate AI messages and align to a particular specific discourse, whosoever is their paymaster.
Okay.
When we all get together,
Aman, if you could come to a conclusion here.
yeah, it's not actually a question, Paul. It's something that it's a thought provoker. I'll take a pause. This was only setting the context.
Okay.
The floor is open to all and you to share your insights on this.
Okay. I'd like to get, before we get Marta and Fatima commenting, I'd love to get more comments from other people here. We've got Terrence, who is joining us from United Arab Emirates, but comes from Cameroon. He's one of our, works with Learning Life. He's one of our family diplomats. I'm happy to see him here. Terrence, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak here today, and I thank the presenters. Really, it's not like I hear from someone, but for the way I hear them present this artificial intelligence, it's a good tool. But what I think is that it should be limited to the public. Actually, it should be limited to the public use. So when it comes back to this point where they said in the future it will take over the citizen diplomacy, I don't think so. Why? Because we have citizen diplomacy have a vital role to play when it comes to educating the people around the world. Because this is the artificial intelligence. This is the tool that will give our people more confusion with the fake videos and everything. And if we are not there to educate them, there will be a big problem. So that's all what I want to say. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Terrence. Carson, I saw you kind of raise your hand.
No, that was the hand clap. That wasn't raising hand. That was a hand clap for what Terrence said. That was absolutely spot on.
Yes,
I truly believe that the most important citizen diplomat role these days is to help educate people. There's millions of us potentially educating people outside of a organized education process. Fantastic.
Okay. Great. And do you want to elaborate on your question that you posed earlier, Carson, about are there ways, I suppose, that education is getting ahead of AI in kind of particular
Sure.
public education about AI?
Sure. And to be specific, the way you just said that, Paul, I don't think that we can propose ever to be ahead of AI, and we cannot take options that say we're just going to stop or not use it. It is there. It is living. So my real question is whether or not anyone has already experienced any educational institution that is teaching to any level of student, primary, higher, or adult education, the process and the thoughts of how do you discern? Because it's clear that there are many things we could do in education, but what is happening? Does anybody have examples yet? Because I think this is so new. I don't think anybody's actually educating many populations on how to think critically through the questions of, am I being manipulated, for example?
Okay, great, Carson. Thank you. I'm gonna hear. I'd love to hear from others, and I'm gonna switch to Shi, who is joining us. I believe she's joining us from China, and has her own kind of perspective on this, and posed a question. Shi, I don't know if you're paying attention, but if you can kind of speak to your question, I'd much appreciate it. You go ahead.
So my question is, I text to the, so how can we prevent situations like the Chinese government using AI to control pervasive surveillance, thereby establishing digital authoritarianism?
Yeah, so there's this question about the use of AI for authoritarian purposes and surveillance in particular. So I'm scrolling through to see other questions that have been posed, but feel free to raise your hand electronically if you'd like to make a comment or a question before we get to Marta and Fatima. Marta and Fatima, if you can kind of write down your notes and the kinds of questions that have been posed. I'm kind of trying to reserve your thoughts for the last, but hear from others before you two speak again. I'm wondering if Abjit, and I'm probably butchering your name, Abjit, if you could talk a little bit about your question.
Right. So,
and tell us a little bit about
everyone.
yourself and where you're coming from.
Right. I represent a think tank out of India. This is called Jan Niti. And we are at a cusp of time where we are trying to figure out a policy framework for AI. And I know there has been good development happening in US, in UK, and some other countries. I think UK just formulated a policy framework. So I was just wondering if there has been, some sort of concrete examples of policies and practices that have been able to balance out the innovation and the tech advantage of the AI and not getting too driven by the tech vendors and the regulatory considerations of it, and especially in a diverse environment like ourselves, because we already facing polarization, inequality in this capitalistic world, and the speed is just increasing. How does the policy framework be designed so that we don't have a lot of people left out? Because I'll just give you one simple example. I have a friend in San Francisco. I have a friend in US and in India, in Bombay and in Warangal, which is a very small village in south of India. And I see the circumstances of these three people. They are living in a very different worlds altogether. We are making more things unequal, unjust, unfair at a great speed. While education can help, but I think as a policy framework, what is that one light that we should be focusing on? Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks. And how do you pronounce your first name? I'm sorry.
You got it right. This is Abhijit. People
Abhijit.
call me AC generally because that's easier.
Okay, good. Glad you're joining us. Others who have questions or comments before we turn to our presenters for some thoughts. And as you may be thinking, I'm also scrolling through your questions. So we clearly, just to kind of summarize, there are questions about education, public education, to what extent that is happening or could be happening, on artificial intelligence, questions about deep fakes, and the use of deep fakes to manipulate publics, and questions about kind of the representation of both official diplomats and citizen diplomats, to what extent those can be replaced, and to what extent they might not be replaced. Other thoughts?
Hello, can I say something?
Yes, please introduce yourself and tell us where you're coming from. Yeah.
I'm Juyan Zhang. I'm a professor of communication at UTSA, University of Texas at San Antonio. Just a brief comment. I think when internet first came into being, and when US and China engaged in these talks, the US positioned this as an issue of free flow of information. It's a human rights issue. When China, blocked, some websites, and later US realized that this is more a trade issue, digital trade issue. So in the past few years, the US government increasingly, approached this as a digital trade, and the US, European Union, China, Japan all engaged in digital trade negotiations. So AI is digital product produced by big corporations. Actually, it's kind of I believe this can be approached from a trade negotiation perspective, and governments and multinational companies should be should join in this international trading negotiation. Set some guidelines, but this is far future, but I think that's a good perspective.
Mm-hmm. So your suggestion is, I gather, that this is open to kind of international negotiation and
trade negotiation, digital trading negotiation.
Right.
Yes.
And implicitly that or perhaps I'm just suggesting here that that citizen diplomats who are informed and affected by AI may be party to those, or could be party to those international negotiations. Okay, thanks, Yuan. Any others? Somebody's asking, or Terrence is asking, about AI can be used in trading Bitcoin. And somebody with the iPhone 15 Plus, did you want to say something before we turn to Fatima and Marta?
Oh no, hi Paul, it's me. I'm just having some internet issues, so I keep going in.
Gotcha. Okay. That is Maham, one of our interns. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Marta and Fatima. If you guys could respond to the variety of comments and questions that have been posed, I'd greatly appreciate it. Whoever wants to go first for you two. I'll ask Marta to go first.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Of course, we have a very, very, very wide discussion about this. But let me remind that we are speaking about objective reality. So it's happened. We have artificial intelligence, and I think, of course, it needs to be regulated, but we can't stop it. and we can't say that there is no artificial intelligence or it is forbidden. No, it's about objective reality. It's extremely actual, and I fully agree with Professor John, about trade, about money, and we all understand that we can't stop it and can't forbid it. We can make some recommendations, we can make national strategy, and as I have said, the first European Union AI Act now is under European Union Council, so they are thinking about it. But European Parliament has voted for it. So there is some example of regulation of the AI legacy. This is the first. Then. So, in fact, we are speaking about fight between robots with its machine learning and people with our contact skills, digital literacy, with our possibility to enlightenment, to educate people how to use these things, these chats or these projects, how to use and how to manage with it. The question about education, I should say that one from my students, which was writing the master thesis, he wrote this thesis for 130 pages with the help of ChatGPT, and it was awful. And I, not only me, but everyone understood this, that it's catch this, that it was not his opinion. So the problem is, okay, we have an opportunity to speak with artificial intelligence. It could help us, but let's educate our students how to manage with it, how which question we can just write, what we can get from it, and what we should do after getting this information. That is the problem. The problem is when I hope that it was my first and final example with such using artificial intelligence, but we should educate our students, because we can't forbid it, we can't stop it. And if you know, we have no anti-plagiates platform that can understand it. We have no, but we should educate our students how to manage with it, how to deal with artificial intelligence, and how to make our best with our skills to make hundreds of thousands times better ourselves with this machine, but not forbidden it, not stop it. We can't do it.
Okay. Fatima.
Yes, thank you, Paul. First of all, let's speak about this balance between the goal or official diplomacy and citizen diplomacy. They are, both of them, they have the same goal, which is the national interest. Citizen diplomacy can intervene in two cases. First of all, when official diplomacy has a good relation with the country, and then citizen diplomacy can support this and reinforce this relationship between two countries, or when there are no good relations between countries, between official diplomacies in two countries or more. Then citizen diplomacy can intervene to open ways through scientific diplomacy, culture diplomacy, economic diplomacy, or whatever in all sectors. And they can facilitate and things for official diplomacies and create and try to find some connecting points and try to build a relation, a basis for a good relationship between countries. Another case is when official diplomacy finds itself, considering some circumstances or context, in global context, for example, or whatever, when official diplomacy finds itself obliged to make a decision of war, then citizen diplomacy should support the head of states. And we can find a great scientific work on this topic made by Thucydides and by other leaders of the theory realism in international relations. Now, we have this citizen diplomacy in the era of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence offer to both kinds of diplomacy this high level of rationalism, because official diplomacy is based, first of all, on rationalism, on rational decision. Citizen diplomacy is based on the spirit of solidarity between individuals, those citizens who are fighting for what? For human rights, for well-being, etc. And they have empathy for others. How we can create the balance between this high level of rationality and this high level, let's say, of spirit of solidarity between individuals, artificial intelligence can create this. And I think the most important role of citizen diplomacy now, because some participants spoke about education, the most important role of citizen diplomacy now is to educate citizens on ethics of artificial intelligence, because only ethics in the lack of law inside countries and in international society, only ethics could create this bridge between codes made by transnational companies, Microsoft, Google, etc., Zoom, etc., and laws inside country or also international law. Thank you so much.
Great, Fatima. So I want to thank both Marta and Fatima for giving us some sense of the complexities that we're dealing with in this evolving landscape with regards to artificial intelligence. I think your point, Fatima, about kind of the importance of developing an ethics around AI speaks to this general problem that I think we encounter, that a lot of technologies are introduced rapidly by companies, and the social consequences of those technologies are only dealt with after the fact. AI may be one of these situations where we are in the process of developing AI, and because of the seriousness of its consequences, both kind of positive and negative, that more and more governments are rethinking this situation where we introduce technologies, then deal with their consequences. Perhaps we should be doing the opposite, which is considering democratically the consequences before we actually unleash these technologies on publics. Fatima, we actually need to, in the interest of time, we need to transition into announcements. But if you want to share, by all means, your comment into the Zoom chat, unless it's very quick.
No, just to answer one question: who should limit in the chat, or who should limit AI? First of all, states by regulation. Then, as we as individual rethinking, we need to rethink our relations with AI, how we are using AI. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Fatima. We are going to transition to announcements. If any of you have announcements, relevant to citizen diplomacy that you would like to share, please do so now. It's best for you to do that in the Zoom chat because we're running out of time. And while you're doing that, I will turn to Brian Smith, who is going to be presenting to you briefly the latest CDI bulletin, which you will likewise get via email, but we want to highlight some things for you. Brian, I'll share my screen so that you can go through it.
All right, thanks, Paul. Since we don't have much time, I just do a brief run through here. Typically with these bulletins, I try to be sort of topical with current events, but also with the subject of the presentations. So but this first one was particularly compelling to me. It was two organizations, one of Israeli women, one of Palestinian women, who literally 3 days before October 7th all gathered together with various diplomats and influencers and activists and made a call to end the violence. And obviously, tragically, things have unfolded differently. But I thought this was just a powerful example of how citizens, ordinary people, come together, make a presence, and engage also with diplomats and the broader public, and make a show of solidarity and responsibility to the next generation. In this case, it was the Mother's Call is what they issued, and you can find more information about both of those organizations online. The second is the Citizen Assembly Network. This is an interesting expansion of a larger project that's going on in Europe. It is something that I know Learning Life is very much interested in, is creating wider networks for these citizen assemblies, which are essentially assemblies of citizens gathering to discuss issues and policies that affect them. And that includes a global assembly, which was one of the first big international gatherings that took place a couple of years back at COP, which of course is also now going on. And so that's also quite timely. You can find more information there. And further down, I also have sort of a mea culpa with this first one, the World Culture Festival. It happened in Washington, D.C., and that's where I live, and I missed it until after the fact. But it was an amazing gathering, apparently, on the mall. Hundreds of thousands of people were there. Whether or not they were all there specifically for that festival or just kind of got just wound up participating, but that's sort of the beauty of it. I mean, it was a very large event down on the mall, all about culture and diversity and peace and citizen engagement. So that's something to watch in the future for sure. We also have a couple other Learning Life relevant entries here. One of our former presenters has published a book on the sister city relationship between Seattle and Tashkent, and that has been a very successful and fulfilling relationship, and you should definitely check that out. Also, Learning Life Family Diplomacy Sweets and Stories. Maybe Paul can tell you a little bit more about that, but it's just a nice way to honor a lot of the people that have been working as family diplomats with Learning Life, and to sort of see literally the fruits of their labors. But yeah, I still have just a lot of, I included one of Marta's books on one of her articles, and you saw and also Fatima's book that she shared is also listed down here as well. A couple other items of note, but yeah, please do check it out. And if ever you have any events coming up, please share those with Paul or Debbie or myself, and we can get those into the next bulletin.
And so thanks, Brian. The last couple of pages as always, of the CDI bulletin include resources that can be useful to citizen diplomats. So you can see them there. So again, these will be shared out via email, and you will get in the next, we'll add those of you who've requested to join CDI, Citizen Diplomacy International, to our email list. In the coming days, you'll get an email from me with photos, video, and other things, the video recording of this meeting, as well as the presentation slides. I think, and I don't know if I shared I may have forgotten to share via the Zoom chat, but I just posted to the Zoom chat links to our Facebook page for CDI and our LinkedIn page. So there are two different pages there that you can connect to if you're on both. And lastly, you'll see that we have recordings of all of our CDI meetings are available on YouTube. This is the last meeting of CDI for this year. We will have 4 new quarterly meetings of CDI next year. The topics of those meetings are to be determined, but you will get notice via email of those. If you have the ability to donate to support CDI, we're currently in the process of trying to raise $5,000 to support the work of continuing to build CDI. So please do contribute if you can. You can contact me if you'd like more information about that. Thanks, everybody, for your participation. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties at the start, and lesson learned on setting up Zoom long before we start. Marta and Fatima, thanks again, and happy holidays and happy New Year to everybody. Bye-bye.
Happy
Bye-bye.
holidays, everyone.
The same to you.